Welcome to another edition of the Tom Green Podcast. In this show, of course, is the Super Bowl preview. And, of course, hopefully this isn't like any other Super Bowl preview because I'm sure you've seen so many previews and so much stuff about the game that you're probably just sick and tired of hearing about it and just want the game over with. Well, believe it or not, kind of so do I, but we have to preview it at some point. Here with us is our Superfan. He is a Tom Green diehard. I'm surprised I haven't signed anything for him yet, but I will not sign any of his body parts because that's just too creepy, too weird. But yes. he is Alex Dewitt, and unlike any other show that he's on, he is joining us over the phone as he is ready to board a plane for Atlanta.
Yes,
Alex, welcome to the show.
It's interesting to do it this way. I haven't done it this way before. Usually I'm in your studio, and we'll see how this goes.
Definitely. So you're not quite boarding the plane to Atlanta yet. You don't leave for a couple of days, but just to add some, dramatic podcast things, I guess you want to say that, I'd say you're on the plane boarding for Atlanta. So before we get started, I wanted to tell everybody that I made an upgrade to the podcast set. If you listen to the Championship Sunday preview with our buddy Meredith Gorman from the Patriots, I was hoping to play a scene from a quote from Bill Belichick, but because I didn't have a speaker, I had to improvise. And of course, she laughed at that, which was great. But now that I have a speaker, I'm going to play this. I'm going to play the quote.
What do you think having a 37-year-old?
We're on to Cincinnati. It's nothing about the past, nothing about the future. Right now we're preparing for Cincinnati.
So that was for the Patriots, and that was for Meredith. We're on to Cincinnati. And we're on to this podcast. As the Rams say, we've moved on from Jeff Fisher. We're definitely not going 7-9. Am I correct?
That is very correct. In fact, we're not going to Cincinnati at all. We're going to Atlanta.
You're going to Atlanta, of course. And well, of course, as I told people beforehand, but I didn't tell the podcast until just now, you're on your way to Atlanta. You made it to Super Bowl 53, the first time since 2002 the Rams have made it to the Super Bowl. Tell me some of the events that you're looking forward to checking out in the ATL.
Well, during the day before the Super Bowl, we're going to actually kind of avoid the NFL-branded events because the prices are almost out of this world as the tickets. So we're going to do the city justice and do some of the actual local things. We're going to go to the Civil Rights Museum, the World of Coke, since we're in Atlanta. There's a studio tour for CNN's main office. There's also the College Football Hall of Fame in the area. And we're planning on getting downtown early enough Sunday to do the aquarium that's there too. Other highlights, I'm going to slide by a game studio that has its headquarters there that I know very well, and very offset chance, but possibly go see UGA, but that's a fringe activity right now.
And thankfully, this is kind of a personal / professional setback. Not setback, but thankfully, Junior is not with you. Am I correct?
Correct. It's just the wife and I.
Yeah, because that would be unfortunate if we had Junior with caffeine. If you thought my cherry Coke addiction was bad, just wait for this kid because he's crazy, 5 times as crazy as I am. So with that being said, because you're interested in these type of things, and because they're interesting to look at in my perspective too, the NFL has Pepsi as one of its main brands. The Super Bowl is in Atlanta. And you already said, what's in Atlanta? What kind of rivalry is going on between Pepsi and Coke in downtown Atlanta?
Well, I can tell you from the people that I've talked to who are from there or who have lived there in the past, it doesn't matter what Pepsi does, they're loyal to the red.
and I'm not too surprised by that. As fun fact, RC was actually made in Atlanta as well as Coke. But of course, RC is a cola that has not really been heard of, and everybody knows about Coke. So, the world of Coke.
It's good for mixing, so I hear.
There you go. So, the world of Coke is in Atlanta. You want to be a rebel? drink a Coke in Atlanta, because that's what the locals do, as Alex is going to be more of a local. So if you're headed to the Super Bowl, if anybody is headed to the Super Bowl besides Alex and is listening to the show, Alex has just said that you could try some of the local stuff rather than NFL extremely high-priced stuff. So,
yeah, for example, a Taste of the NFL event. It's in Marietta. It's at an arena I was at when I was in Atlanta in 2015. Tickets start at $700 a pop. Or you can get a table where you can actually sit down for 10 G's. So, needless to say, the NFL branded stuff is meant for people who have way more money than brains, even though I have more money than brains because I'm going to the Super Bowl. So, hey.
Yeah, pretty much. We have always, pretty much all NFL fans have said, if my team goes to the Super Bowl, I'm going to it. Well, Alex has actually backed up his promise and is going to the Super Bowl. So,
and the coworkers who thought I was crazy said, yeah, I'd go to Atlanta, but I would not pay for a ticket. And I know there's going to be a lot of those people there in Atlanta, too. Not in a bad way, but there's going to be two different types of people in Atlanta, those with a ticket and those without. And it'll be interesting to see how Atlanta deals with all those extra people.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people who is like, if I'm going to go, I might as well go to the event. So I would not be one of those people, but you never know. I have been in the works to making plans with my drinking buddies to go to Cleveland for the MLB All-Star game, and we might just watch it at a bar. Who knows? But still, in a way, being there is great, but you also want to kind of actually be at the game too, which Alex is going to. So that's going to be awesome for him. Moving to the Super Bowl preview, of course, the last time these two teams met in the Super Bowl, this happened.
Here comes one of greater importance if he makes it, and it's right down the pipe. And Vinatieri. No time on the clock, and the Patriots.
That may have been muffled. If so, my apologies. But because it was so many years ago, Adam Vinatieri stabs the hearts of the Rams with a 48-yard field goal, or however, 48-yard field goal for the Patriots to win their first of now 5 Super Bowls. So I ask Alex to start out. Is there any sort at all of revenge from 2002 playing in this game?
If you're looking at it from a Patriots fan perspective, there definitely would be. But from the Rams fan perspective, and me being someone who fondly remembers that game and the insult to injury I got of getting a Sports Illustrated prize package for the Patriots afterwards, I can tell you that because that was the peak of St. Louis Rams football, most of the fans who are diehard understand it's a different town, different team, even though it's the same name. This is a completely different set of Rams than all those years ago.
Yes, and now Kurt Warner has to explain to his kids that, yeah, the Rams were in St. Louis at one time.
It was a long honeymoon.
Very long, and I was actually, and I had said this off camera with him, as I've said many things, I was actually quite surprised that the Rams were to make the move. I thought it was going to be a different team that I can't really remember from those 3 or 4 that were about to move, but once the Rams move, it devastated St. Louis, and who knows who they root for. I've heard a lot of people say that they're Titans fans now, that they're less than a day's drive from Tennessee.
Yeah, it's mostly Titans because Chicago, if you're from St. Louis, you do not root for a Chicago team. Cubs, Blackhawks, Bulls, anybody. You root for a different market if you don't have one in here, if you don't have one in town. It doesn't matter. You can't root for Chicago ever. And Tennessee would be the most likely option for those people.
Yes, because
Kansas City is a little too much of a rivalry still.
Yes, that's what I was just about to say. That the freeway series between the I-80 series, excuse me, the freeway series is Angels Dodgers. The I-80 series is Cardinals Royals. So.
And we almost had a repeat of the NFL's Missouri Governor's Cup twice, without Missouri being present for one of them. But, you know, it could have been an interesting talking point.
Definitely.
Would have won their game.
Definitely, where Missouri could have had a Super Bowl, but oh wait, the Rams moved. Oops.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately for St. Louis, this could be their Super Bowl, but Stan Kroenke, and as Alex and other people say, Stan Kroenke, you get that little jab there, had other plans for St. Louis. So, with that being said, to the Super Bowl preview, I may as well ask it straight up. How do the Rams win this game? Give me some keys to the Rams hoisting the Lombardi trophy.
I have 3 things.
Sure.
First one, ground game, both establishing and stopping. That's kind of 2 points, but I'm putting it into 1.
Right.
Patriots did better at stopping the run than the Rams in the regular season, and that has carried through in the playoffs here. We did see last week that the Pats' short and medium passing game is phenomenal with Edelman and Gronk, and the Rams linebackers need to be ready for that. So to keep the pressure off of them, having that front of Donald, Sue, and Brockers along with the hybrid rushing linebacker, wherever that is in that down, need to contain the surprisingly good Patriots running backs that we've seen this year. Second one would be to not make mistakes. We all know turnovers kill momentum. That's like a well-known fact of football.
Especially against the Patriots.
And we know that the Patriots tend to thrive on the mistakes of others. As for other mistakes, I'm going to go back a couple weeks here. Nikhil Roby-Coleman will not get away with what he did in New Orleans. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, it felt like he got away with murder there.
Yeah, but neither should the Pats' offensive line on holding Donald on the double team, as seems to happen almost every other game in this season. Because, I mean, you look at Donald's jersey after one series, and it's already almost ripped, stretched way beyond what Nike suggests to be stretched to. So there's definitely going to be interesting ways to either contain Donald to stop him from getting back there early, or to keep the penalties or the non-penalties from changing the game. Last one is to get to Brady, and again, this is more with the Donald. And Sue surprised me; he's been really, really good last part of the season.
Of course, you had to jab at me there because Sue was a lion.
Former,
right?
Kind of like your boy Ebron catching a touchdown in the Pro Bowl.
Oh yeah, of course.
But, with Brady being 41, he is a slower quarterback in the league. He can take the hits, but keeping the pressure on him will make him make those decisions faster, which will better your odds at making either a short throw, miss, or a pick. I mean, he had 2 picks against Kansas City, and Kansas City did not have a very good statistical defense this year.
Wait, they actually had defense?
They had 11 players in red suits.
And I was trying to make that jab when I had Meredith Gorman on the show, but of course, yeah, Chiefs defense show up, and they didn't show up in overtime.
No, they cost them the game with a penalty by their highest paid defensive player. I believe Dewitt up there, but yeah, their defense cost them the game by something that defenses generally don't do, which is, a defensive neutral zone infraction doesn't happen in the NFL on a 4th down, but it just so happens to Andy Reid, of course.
And of course, against the Patriots. Who knew?
Yeah. Who knew you could get a lucky call at a clutch moment wearing a silver helmet?
Yeah, you never knew that. So, I'll give you my 3 keys to a Rams victory, which are very similar. The first, of course, is being ground game. If one of Gurley or C.J. Anderson, a.k.a. the Christmas Ham, can rush for 100 yards, and yes, by the way, I mentioned the Christmas Ham to Ms. Gorman. She laughed. But C.J. Anderson, Christmas Ham. Thank you, Danny Okarafo and Aaron Gosser, my drinking buddies. So, if one of them can run for over 100 yards, and if they can stop a 100-yard rusher or James White from getting into the end zone, perhaps that's the first key. So ground game / stopping their ground game. Second, do not make mistakes, like you had said, because guess what the Patriots do? They thrive off them. You make a mistake, it's pretty much an automatic 7 points. You can try to stop it, but you just know that you can't. And that's what Detroit really did against New England is rush the ball. Kerryon Johnson was the first 100-yard rusher since Reggie Bush in 2013, and they stopped Brady. Once they did that, the Detroit basically destroyed New England on week 3. So second, do not make mistakes, and third one, if Brady makes a mistake, make damn sure it's 7 points. Because if you don't, guess what? They're going to breathe a sigh of relief and score 7. So, ground game, do not make mistakes. To capitalize on their mistakes if they make any.
Since you bring up the Lions comparison, because remember, the Rams beat the Lions beat the Patriots. By extension, this Super Bowl's already decided. We can go home, right?
Yeah, Detroit's hoisting the Lombardi trophy. Yay! We wish. But in your case, the Rams would be hoisting the Lombardi trophy. As Detroit was able to stop Gurley for a while. I say for a while because in the second half,
at the end.
Gurley got it going, and of course the touchdown at the end, like you had just exclaimed. So, by the transitive property, I guess we already have our Super Bowl champion, and we can wrap this show up, and the Rams have won. But there's still a game to be played. So we have to ask the next question, and it's one that you might not want to answer, but I'm going to make you answer it anyway. Tom Brady, is he the GOAT?
To be honest, I was glad you gave me this question because I can't say no. There's no way anybody currently playing or previously playing in the NFL that has the same level of success as Tom Brady. I mean, you can't deny that. 5 rings and 9 championship appearances as a player, that's unprecedented. I mean, even for coaches, 9 appearances is insane. I mean, and it's not even like it's the same team year after year. We're looking at teams that are vastly different, whereas the current team, which is more reliant on the run, or the Randy Moss years where it was just air it out and you always score touchdowns because Randy Moss was a beast. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're already in the Hall or going to be in the Hall. Breeze, Manning, Aikman, Young, Favre. I have a list here. And Brady's got you beat overall. I mean, you can't deny it.
Exactly. And plus, Brady is, of course, a Michigan man, so I've always had to root for Tom Brady. A lot of people hate the Patriots, especially now Rams fans because they have to face them, but Brady is the GOAT. He's got 5 rings. Who knows if he's going to get a 6th. I had to be careful because I got a Rams fan on the show. So
it could be next year still.
That's true. But you never know. And Brady has even said in media this week that there is a 0 chance that he will retire after this Super Bowl. So it really could be next year if so. But so far, 5 rings, 9 championship appearances. Win or loss, he's done something that may never be seen in the NFL again. They need
to name the AFC East the honorary Tom Brady division because I don't think anyone else has beaten those teams as much as Tom Brady.
Yeah. True, Brady.
The Dolphins have given the rest of the division hope, but that's the only thing they have is hope.
Pretty much. And the Dolphins, when they invented the Wildcat under Tony Sparano, actually took the AFC East away from the Patriots. But that was only 1 year out of 20. So, we both think that Brady is the GOAT because we're Michigan fans, go blue, and even though Alex wants the Rams to win, you can still tell that Brady's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Brady's perhaps going to get in unanimously, we hope. Just like Mariano Rivera got in unanimously, but we'll see what happens within the next 10 years.
It's only the matter of time before baseball did that. It took them long. I was surprised it wasn't a few years earlier.
Yeah, that's true, because now a closer, a relief pitcher of all people, gets the first unanimous vote over, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, and a multitude of others that perhaps could have deserved it. So, back to the Super Bowl preview. We already talked about how the Rams win this game. How do the Patriots get ring number 6 and perhaps Thanos the league?
The first one is a no-brainer. Keep Brady in rhythm. All you have to do is keep things at his average workaday pace and wear out the Rams' defense, and it's game over. I mean, let's face it. If Brady can just keep it moving 7 yards of play, it's going to be over real quick. My second one would be to contain Cooks and Woods. This is something that will be very interesting to see how Belichick and his defensive squad works out. Because if the Pats can limit the outside threat there, you have the combination of Reynolds, Higbee, and Everett as their next 3 leading receivers that aren't Todd Gurley, because that's a completely different animal. And those 3 combined have less yards than either Cooks or Woods. So you combine those 3 together, they only have about 1,040 yards. Woods has about 1,200. Cooks about 1,300, I think. Pretty close to that. But there's a pretty big gap between your number 2 and your number 3 receiver on the year. Finally, I have confused the secondary. You see a lot of bumping when you watch the Rams on film. Or in one case, 2 weeks ago, an outright collision in the backfield, resulting in that first touchdown for Drew Brees. And a couple of missed assignments in the long ball. If Patriots can force those miscues, that's not going to be good, because Rams have given up a lot of big plays, and all you have to do is look for a slight crease that's Marcus Peters taking a step forward instead of running back, and it's over. Just for example, I'm not saying he's going to do it, but that's the first person I can think of who did it this year.
Fair enough. And also, funny thing was that when Marcus Peters went to the Rams, the memes were saying the Chiefs went from first-round exit to not interested in the playoffs. Well, Pat Mahomes had something to say about that.
If Alex Smith was still the QB, I don't think they would have made it.
And that's a good point. Mr. Smith went to Washington.
And pulled the Joe Theismann.
Yeah, he did. Exact same final score, exact same day, of course, different year. And wasn't it exact same time left in the game?
It was close. It was close. Not quite exact, but it was real close.
Maybe Alex Smith becomes a legend just like Theismann is now.
That'd be something else.
You never know. So, keys to a Patriots win. Of course, keep Brady in rhythm. If they can pull a nice ground game from either Burkhead, Michelle, or Whiteland, one thing that Gorman had said on the Championship Sunday preview is that they have won every game in which Sony Michel has rushed for over 100 yards. So if Michel can rush for over 100 yards, you can see the Patriots hoisting their 6th Lombardi trophy. If not, well, perhaps the Rams might take advantage and get a nice ground game going on their own. So, ground game from the Patriots. That's, as you've said, they're more of a ground and pound team than they have before, especially when Moss was there. Secondly, forced turnovers. Goff is a young quarterback. I think Goff might be kind of nervous to play this Super Bowl because he's our age, and he's a starting quarterback in the Super Bowl. How often do you see that? You really don't.
At least it'll be somewhat quieter in Atlanta than it was in New Orleans, so that'll help a little.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, just think if the Saints did go to the Super Bowl and they would be playing at their arch rival stadium, who knows if Atlanta would even let the Saints into their city, let alone let them play a Super Bowl in their city.
From the sounds of it, they were really happy the Rams won.
Yeah, and just think if Rodgers and the Packers got to play in Minnesota last year for the Super Bowl. I don't know.
It had been hell for Minneapolis and St. Paul residents.
Yeah, definitely hell for the Twin Cities. And the final key to the game is not, of course, forcing turnovers, but taking advantage of those turnovers. Like we had said before, the Patriots do a great job of taking advantage of these turnovers. of mistakes by the other team, an automatic 7 points. If they can just keep doing that, you have a Patriots 6th Super Bowl victory. So, ground game, force turnovers, take advantage of turnovers. If that's the case, you have a Patriots Super Bowl victory. So, this is the first year in your life that you will not be watching the Super Bowl commercials because you will be at the game, unless Sam is streaming the commercials from her seat, which,
I don't think Atlanta's going to have enough towers for that.
But I could see Sam doing that, honestly.
Well, we'll see.
I joked with Alex off camera. Here, Alex, let Tom go. You guys have a nice bros weekend. Unfortunately, that didn't happen for me, but that's okay.
We have things to check off our list for looking at stuff, so we can check off a couple here.
Exactly. So, who's going to hoist the Lombardi trophy on Sunday night? Unbiasedly, because I know you're going to say Rams 50-0, and we know that won't happen.
No, actually, I mean, obviously I do want the Rams to win. That's no-brainer. I'm going to be wearing my jersey, be there for my team. I'm not expecting them to win. But based off of the stat lines, it's going to be a pretty close matchup. I think I looked at it this afternoon. The line's now at 2.5 for the Pats, and that's swung between, I think, 3.5 Pats and 2.5 Rams. So, it's all over the place. But that close line doesn't always necessarily mean a close game. We saw in 48 the Seattle-Denver stop that things don't always go as planned. Hoping for a shootout. Not expecting it to be a Rams-Chiefs shootout, but I'm going to go with 31-30 Rams. Remember, you were talking about the Super Bowl run for the Pats earlier. Many people back then thought the Pats only made the Super Bowl because of the fluke that was the Tuck rule, or what became the Tuck rule. I thought that the Patriots didn't belong. A lot of people don't think the Rams don't belong because of a missed penalty that they may be reviewing to change how they deal with that penalty next year. I do think the Pats are going to have the ball at the end, and we're going to see a Vinatieri flashback. I'm going to start hallucinating in my seat, about a 45 to 50 yarder, but this time it misses, and I'm hoping for that. But I'm thinking we're going to have some flashbacks as we get into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and Gostkowski hardly ever misses a field goal. That would be the missed field goal of all missed field goals.
Well, it would fit with the theme of clutch misses this year. Like Chicago a couple times. While Mason Crosby making the Lions goalpost the highest paid player on the team.
Pretty much. So, my thought is if the Rams win and it's that dramatic, I think it will actually be Greg Zuerlein who will be the hero for the Rams right in the end, making roughly a 55-yard field goal at the end to win it for the Rams, if that's the case. But I honestly think...
As they say on the message boards, it would be easy for Jeezy.
Exactly. Easy like Sunday morning for GZ. I called him Legatron for a few years.
That was actually the thing that they used for when the team was still in St. Louis. That was actually the shtick they used.
Was Legatron. Unfortunately, that didn't move to LA, but...
No.
Oh, wow. So I think this will be competitive for a half, at least. I think you're going to see about a 14-14, 21-21 halftime score going into Maroon 5, and hopefully a SpongeBob appearance. I heard rumors about that on a NFL memes board. I believe I tagged you in that.
Please no. Please no.
Please yes. Please yes. We need to see Sweet Victory at the Super Bowl because I love SpongeBob. kind of like Buddy the Elf. I'm in love, and I don't care who knows it. I love SpongeBob, and I don't care who knows it. Alex is thinking, oh God, does he have cherry Coke again? Is he having cherry Coke again? Well,
it'd have been more likely if it would have happened at the Pro Bowl last week in Orlando.
That one, well, it was a rainy day in Orlando, but you would have seen the bubble bowl. So, roughly 14-14 or 21-21 at half. Then, kicker, or well, not really kicker, but surprising thing. First play of the second half, Jared Goff throws a 75-yard touchdown to Robert Woods in the slot. Throws it about 10 yards, and then Woods just runs the whole way. 28-21. I'll go 21-21 at half. 28-21 Rams. Patriots score the next 21 points and win 42-28.
Jesus. That goes off the rails quick.
It does. The Rams have hope, but the Patriots then realize, oh yeah, that's right, we're New England. And I'm sure you've seen the meme with Belichick grabbing the arms of a referee. We are losing. Fix it.
Yeah.
That could or could not happen. We don't know. But I am sure he will be like that in the arms of Tom Brady once the Goff to Woods pass happens to start the second half. So give me 42-28 Patriots. And, of course, Alex hopes I'm wrong. So before we end the show, of course, I got to ask, from a Rams perspective, your opinion on the missed call. We touched base on it, but we didn't really expand upon it. So let's touch base on that. Thoughts on the missed call?
It was a blown call. Like, obviously a blown call. I was surprised there wasn't anything there. But if you have to justify a loss on one play, then there's more wrong with that game. And upon further review, I believe there was more wrong with the game. There were multiple delay games that weren't called, both against the Saints. There were multiple face masks against the Saints that weren't called. There was another pass interference by Roby Coleman earlier that probably should have been called. That was the questionable one, about 6 minutes earlier in game time. But there was so much weird officiating that if you have to blame the officiating, you weren't playing a dominant game, and it became a coin flip. And in this case, the coin flip landed in the Rams' favor.
Which it actually landed in the Saints' favor to start out, but one of the Rams defenders had something to say about that.
Yeah, I was nervous when they got the ball, and then watching the AFC, seeing the pass get the ball, I'm like, ooh, are we going to have part two? Because I'd be okay with that. But we did not.
The Patriots, of course, had something to say about that. So my thought was it was definitely a blown call. I felt it could have been labeled egregious, but at this point, obviously, there's nothing you can do about it because the Rams have already traveled there, and at this point, you just gotta move on. I'm sorry, New Orleans, but yeah, I felt you were robbed, but you got to move on. Next season, you never know what could happen next season. If you guys face the Rams again, there's your chance. Prove it on the field. And they had chances even after the blown call. And Greg Zuerlein made a field goal that looked like it could have been made from 70, maybe 70 minus 1 yards out. We all know I was going to mention that at least once.
Or maybe 70 miles. I mean, dang. I mean, it hooked, but it didn't hook like a normal hook. It came all the way back.
It was like one of those drives where it starts out going way right, and then it just curves right back in the middle of the fairway. So, there were a lot of things that the Saints could have done to win this game, but yes, in the end, that was a blown call, and Mikel Roby Coleman, be gracious that you are not in a New Orleans County jail right now. Held.
Or the hospital.
Yeah, that too, but held for crimes of homicide or murder or something like that. So, with that being said, I guess I'll ask the great question. Is there anything else you have to add to this wonderful Tom Green podcast?
I'll be back soon, but I'm going to enjoy the warmer weather.
I would think so too. So also, if you do get to see any of the Patriots reporters like Meredith Gorman or Megan O'Brien, tell them that you were the super fan of the Tom Green podcast, and I'm sure they will like hearing that, even though you're wearing a Rams jersey, of course, to the game. So he is
I'll
out.
try to be personable for you, Tom.
There you go. So Sam, Alex is going to be personable like me. Get used to it. I'm sure she is used to it anyway.
Well,
Good answer.
well,
Well. So, he is Alex Dewitt, as always, the super fan of the Tom Green podcast. If you've seen, of course, Alex has sent me these memes before. Like the meme where this guy is approaching this guy sitting on the couch. He inches closer, closer. Sweatbands start to go down. That's Alex and I'm the guy that's sitting down. Because he's always there. Always there for the Tom Green show. Even if he's not. Even if he's nowhere close.
if I was to build a catapult, I could shoot it twice and hit your house. Take 2 goes.
Pretty much. So he is the super fan of the show, Alex DeWitt, and this has been the Tom Green Podcast.